Akshay, welcome.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
तुम्ही
मी धनेशला हे करतोय ना, धनेशला मी होस्ट करतोय.
ओके.
तू सगळं कर लागतेस.
सर लुक चेंज केला.
हा. धनेश सुरू कर. धनेश,
गुड इव्हनिंग सर. गुड इव्हनिंग सर.
हा, तुला होस्ट केलं, तू ऍडमिट कर लोकांना, मला सुद्धा.
ओके ओके.
माझा आवाज येतो काय क्लिअर?
माझा आवाज क्लिअर होता सर. हो हो.
मग आता 3 आहे, तू होस्ट आहेस. मग काही मग दुसरी
तुम्हाला येतोय सर? येतोय आवाज येतोय?
ओके, मग चांगलं. चला मग.
हा, आता मी घेतो. येथील त्यांना घेतो मी आता.
आणि मॅडम नाही सांगा जॉईन व्हायला. माझं दिसतोय का बऱ्यापैकी व्हिडिओ? व्हिडिओ ठीक आहे का?
हा व्हिडिओ सर तुमचा दिसत नाही गेला. आधी दिसला, आता दिसत नाही गेलाय.
दिसतोय ना?
योगेश, दिसतोय का व्हिडिओ सरांचा?
रेकॉर्डिंग कमी केली समोर. माझा स्टार्ट करतो व्हिडिओ. आता दिसतोय का?
नाही दिसत सर.
नाही सर, नाही सर व्हिडिओ. आबासाहेब आले मध्ये, त्यांना घेतलं.
माझा व्हिडिओ.
हा, आता राईट. छान. हो
ठीक आहे.
काय सर, लोक भयानक केलं तुम्ही आता. जबरदस्त लोक.
जरा म्हणजे वेगवेगळे प्रयत्न करू. आबासाहेब ऍडमिट कर ना, लोक येत आहेत. आबासाहेब देशमुख.
हा, केलं ऍडमिट केलं.
मॅडम नाही सांगतो मी जॉईन व्हायला.
हो हो हो.
जे का तू तिकडे कर ऍडमिट. त्यांना सांगितलं. त्यांना सांगितलं मी 527 ला होतील.
ओके ओके.
आणि इंट्रोडक्शन पण तूच दे मग.
चालतंय ना सर, चालतंय. हो, डेफिनेटली.
आवाज क्लिअर आहे, व्हिडिओ पण दिसतोय क्लिअर, म्हणजे काय प्रॉब्लेम नाही.
काय आता ऍडमिट करतो मी.
हा, कर सर. काय आपल्याच घरातच आहे सगळं. बाकीच्यांनी म्यूट राहा प्लीज. मी माझा व्हिडिओ बंद करतो, म्हणजे कसं बँडविड्थ राहिली. ठीक आहे, तिकडनं दुसरीकडनं कनेक्ट करतो. धनेश, मी दुसऱ्या सेशनला कनेक्ट करतो, हा व्हिडिओ बंद करतो.
अच्छा, पण सर मग हे होईल का, थोडस सिग्नलचा प्रॉब्लेम येतो. 2 व्हिडिओ
दुसरीकडे जाऊन करतो, दुसऱ्या रूम मध्ये.
ओके, फाईन.
आता माझा इथला व्हिडिओ बंद केलाय मी. व्हिडिओ बंद झालाय ना आता?
ओके.
व्हिडिओ बंद आहे का?
हा, व्हिडिओ बंद झालाय.
व्हिडिओ बंद झालाय.
व्हिडिओ.
ठीक आहे, तू आता कर. आणि मॅडम अजून जॉईन नाही झाले वाटतं.
7 लोक जर 7 लोक जॉईन झाले.
का नाही ऑप्शन.
तांबे सर आले आता.
विठ्ठलाचा छान फोटो ठेवले साऊंड पण. मी काय ठेवल्यावर भारी ठेवले.
तांबे सर, गुड इव्हनिंग. तांबे सर, गुड इव्हनिंग.
गुड इव्हनिंग.
कसे आहेत सर?
गुड इव्हनिंग गणेश. गुड इव्हनिंग.
गुड इव्हनिंग सर. गुड इव्हनिंग.
गुड इव्हनिंग. तर कोणताही तुम्ही शब्दशः चालला होते.
आबासाहेब
पोरच शब्द
थोडं
शब्दाशी
चल साने मसाला कर.
आला का आता माझा मला गुड येते ना माझा आवाज.
येस सर ये एकदम परफेक्ट आवाज येतोय.
आम्ही दुसरीकडे ना आता कर आता मॅडमला एकदा शेअर करायला सांग मॅडम क्षितिज.
हो 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 हो.
उपसभापती मारला पल्ले म्हणून उद्गीरच.
रेकॉर्डिंग मी सुरू केली ऑलरेडी.
हा सर ओके ओके.
अक्षय बाकी काय म्हणतोस तू? अक्षय
असं ऑल गुड सर.
ओके ओके ओके.
तर आपण 2 मिनिटात स्टार्ट करूया. ठीक आहे. क्षितिजा पण आलेली आहे.
हा म्हणजे तिला प्रेझेंटेशन शेअर करायला सांग ना, म्हणजे एकदा दिसतं की शेअर करायला सांग प्रेझेंटेशन. जस्ट
हा
स्क्रीन शेअर कर.
क्षितिजा काही तुझं प्रेझेंटेशन असले तर बघ शेअर करून म्हणजे
स्क्रीन
ओपन
शेअर
करून
करून
पहा.
म्हणजे परमिशन असेल तर मी स्क्रीन शेअरची परमिशन देतो.
योगेशला पाठवलं होतं.
नाही नाही तू तिकडनंच केलं तरी चालेल ना शेअर, म्हणजे लॅपटॉप कशावर येते?
हो लॅपटॉपवर.
हा मग शेअर
हा,
कर
मग
ना
तिथून
येस.
आणि शेअर परमिशन असेल सांग, मी शेअर परमिशन दिली इकडनं.
नाहीये
जर शेअरिंग
परमिशन.
मी देतो मी परमिशन देतो 1-2 मिनिटात. धनेश तुला परमिशन द्यावी लागते शेअरिंगची परमिशन. धनेश
ओके सर.
तू शेअरिंग परमिशन दे. तुला वरती शेअर म्हणून आहे बघ, शेअरला परमिशन दे. अलाऊ शेअर. खाली शेअर आहे बघ, शेअर.
हा पण सर माझ्याकडनं शेअर करता येत आहे ना. परमिशन नाही ऑप्शन.
शेअर परमिशन दे. एनीवन कॅन शेअर म्हणून असं कर. तिथे क्लिक कर, मग तुला ऑप्शन विचारेल. खाली त्याच्या शेअरवर क्लिक केलंस ना.
ओके जस्ट
म्हणजे आता बघ मॅडमला क्षितिजा बघ तुला शेअरिंग करता येते का बघ आता.
शेअर कॉम्प्युटर साऊंड
नाही येत.
हा नाही तू अलाव कर ना शेअर. तू जेव्हा शेअर करशील ना तेव्हा शेअरिंग परमिशन द्यावं लागतं.
अजून डिसेबल्ड आहे.
सर ऍक्च्युली ह्याच्यामध्ये शेअरचं मी परमिशन बघतोय. मला एक काम कर ना, मग तुझं हे पाठव, प्रेझेंटेशन पाठव, मी ओपन करतो इथे.
तिकडे त्याला पाठवून द्या.
चालेल.
व्हॉट्सअपवर पाठवून द्या.
हो पाठवलं.
ओके. Yes.
आपण नेक्स्ट स्लाइड त्या अनुक्रमाने ते बंद करू. गणेश रेकॉर्ड पण करशील?
हा. हो रेकॉर्डिंग
कारण
चालू आहे.
बऱ्याच लोकांनी विचारलं होतं ते आपण करू नव्हतो शकत.
नाही रेकॉर्डिंग
हो
ऑलरेडी सुरू आहे.
रेकॉर्डिंग आहे.
धनेश मध्ये इंट्रोडक्शन करून सुरू कर मग तू, काय हरकत नाही. 5
हो
झाले.
जस्ट तेच बघतोय मी. ओपन होते सर.
शेअर परमिशन असतं तिथे खरं खाली लगेचच. इट वुड हॅव बीन मच मोर इझी. म्हणजे ठीक आहे काय हरकत.
प्रेझेंटेशन ओपन व्हायला टाइम लागला.
तुम्ही पहिलेच एनेबल करून ठेवायला पाहिजे तुला होज कोणाच्या अगोदर. आपण 1-2 मिनिटात सेशन सुरू करतोय. फक्त चेकिंग होते शेअरिंग वगैरेचं. आणि मग धनेश क्षितिजा सोमनला इंट्रोड्यूस करेल आणि शी विल स्टार्ट द सेशन इन नेक्स्ट 2-3 मिनिट्स.
तर बघ दिसतंय का फक्त सांगा मला. Can you see sir on screen presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
Now you can introduce and start.
Yes. Chalo, good evening sirs. Good evening all Ajinkyans. And Yogesh sir, thank you for giving this opportunity. And actually, we tried earlier with our batch also. We had a good discussion with Dr. Kshitija, and she has given good presentation on this handwriting analysis and counseling. So I thought that it would be helpful for our other Ajinkyans also. And that's why, sir, I requested to have session for Dr. Kshitija. And we are very much thankful to Dr. Kshitija because she has joined today with us in spite of her busy schedule. And she has got some couple of appointments also today. But Ajinkyans spirit is there in Lady Ajinkyans also, and she agreed, and today she is joining with us. I'll talk about Kshitija. Dr. Kshitija has done PhD in the financial management after MCOM, and then she has presented the papers on the forensic accounting in national and international conferences. She has worked as a lecturer in the MIT College, Pune, in MBA department as a finance faculty. She also worked as a visiting faculty with various B schools in Pune. She worked as a tax consultant with PH Mahindra and Company, where she has handled tax audits, personal income tax, etc. Also, she is a visiting consultant at CFO, a software company in Pune. She has also conducted corporate training in forensic accounting and accounting at various places, including government bodies. Let me have some more great achievements of Dr. Kshitija. She has conducted investors awareness program with Pune Police Cyber Crime Division. She has also chaired a national CA conference on forensic accounting as a chairperson and speaker. She has also got good publications, like in the Marathi newspaper on forensic accounting and also in highly reputed magazines. She has also given lectures on the Pune radio on financial literacy and forensic accounting. Finally, she is an excellent handwriting analyzer and a counselor. So we are fortunate to have a session from Dr. Kshitija, and I will not take more time. So I request Dr. Kshitija to please continue the session. It's over to you, Dr. Kshitija.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dhanesh. Dhanesh is a very good friend of my husband, and thank you, Dhanesh, for this opportunity presented in front of all of you. It is indeed an honor for me as a wife of an Ajinkyans to deliver a session here and share my views with all of you. uh, uh, there is not even a single day in our life when I don't hear something about Sainik School. May it be some experience from Rahul's school days, or some other jokes or something like that. Sometimes it's nan katai that comes in picture. Sometimes it's just the punishments that come in picture. But every day we hear something about Sainik School, and that's why probably the bond is even stronger. Even in the families of Ajinkyans, and that's why it is like my extended family. And so I'm really grateful, Dhanesh, for this opportunity. Also, Mr. Yogesh, for giving this opportunity here. I would start by saying that I am definitely not going to say something or anything which is probably out of the skies or out of the blue. It is simple skills or rules of life that you all have been following. You all are much more experienced, a lot of knowledge with all of you. So I'm just trying to share my perspective of looking at handwriting analysis. While after completing my chartered accountancy, I started working. I'm on mute. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. I was on mute for some time. Yeah. So after completing my chartered accountancy, I started working, and then slowly understood that my entire interest lies in education, and that's where I started pursuing PhD. My subject of PhD is fraud investigation, financial statement frauds. So in doing that, I thought that it is essential that I also get to know about how frauds are committed. And one way of it was understanding check forgeries, etc., which are more close to the hearts of finance persons. And that's why I started doing that. But it so happened that as I was talking to my students every day for last 14 years, I'm teaching and talking to my students every day. I found that my students need kind of counseling. And when I started checking their papers or assignments, I used to very naturally come up with some aspects about that handwriting and about that person in general. And I could not, as a teacher, resist myself that time from talking to those students about those particular problems if I could see them. And it so happened that it started helping my students a lot. I could help students quit smoking. Some of them were totally into a different mindset of not accepting jobs just because they wanted to do social service or something after MBA. So I could help those students in coming back on track. Some of them had just faced love affair, breakup, and whatever. And so many people, students at the age of 20, 21 are extremely vulnerable emotionally, because they cannot talk to their families about everything that goes on in their mind. And at such times, such kind of a counselor probably is really helpful. And that is why I thought of taking this up for my students, and that's how it all began. Can I go to the first slide, please, Dhanesh?
I'm also that.
I think it's stuck up somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second one is fine. Yeah, this is fine. Yeah. So that's how my journey in handwriting analysis began. And slowly it went on to counseling for my students. Then I extended to my friends, and I went into various areas, which I'll talk to you a little later. But initially, let me tell you what exactly is meant by handwriting analysis. So handwriting analysis is also called as graphology. It is an analysis of identifying personality traits based on handwriting. The problem today is that we write very less because we all are working on computers. A lot of times it all is on the WhatsApp messages or emails, or just a kind of writing in a Word document and sending it across. So there's hardly any time today that we actually write with pen and paper, and that's how probably handwriting analysis today and tomorrow might become a little tough, because there won't be much handwriting left to be analyzed. That is one aspect I always keep on thinking about. But when it comes to recruitments, when it comes to student counseling, when it comes to marital discords, when it comes to just conflicts between different persons, different group of persons, handwriting analysis can be an extremely important tool. I would first like to tell you that handwriting analysis is definitely not astrology. It does not predict future. It only can predict traits of a person, and based on those traits in the handwriting, we can definitely go ahead and find out the personality of a person, how the person should lead his life ahead, and how handwriting analysis can be helpful to him. So it is definitely not a science exactly, because it has not been yet approved as a science. It is not completely an art, because it does not involve every aspect that is involved generally in any art form. But I would say it is a mixture of science, being a science and being an art. Definitely, there are extremely good measures of how handwriting analysis should be done. There are various set rules. I won't say they are set by any law or rule book as such, but they are thumb rules, but definitely have been tried and tested over years by primarily by foreign country thinkers first, and then slowly it came to India also. So in India, even today, we don't have any handwriting analysts in Marathi segment, because it's not totally an Indian one. There was only one person in India, in Pune, but he unfortunately passed away, and now we don't have anyone who can read Marathi and analyze on that basis. So even today we are restricted to English handwriting. So then the next question is, we say that we don't write much, and that's why whenever we write, the handwriting is always bad. But let me tell you something that we learned in childhood, and even today, I think we shout at our kids for that the handwriting should be neat, it should be legible, it should be nice, people should be able to read it very easily. All that is true, but kindly remember here, because I've done this analysis course and have studied handwriting for a lot of years now, I can definitely tell you that whatever student, whatever person does in his handwriting, whether it's good handwriting, bad handwriting, shabby handwriting, it all is a part of that person's personality. So when I say that a person has a very neat handwriting, there are certain specific traits that that we can associate with that type of handwriting. You would have seen brilliant surgeons or brilliant thinkers, scientists having extremely shabby handwritings. And the reason for that is also very simple. When the handwriting is shabby, it only means that the thought process, the speed at which thought process goes on in the mind, in the brain, and the speed at which your hand can write down those thoughts is not matching. And if it doesn't match, you are tired of writing slow, because the thought processes go at such a high speed in your brain that you don't really want to spend time in writing neatly, writing pretty with pretty handwriting, etc. And that's why you would see that the more intelligent, the more thinker kind of a person you are, your handwriting is likely to be shabby. So that's a big myth, I would say. So today onwards, I think you all, if at all it's there in your mind, would stop telling it to your kids that write very properly, neatly. Because whenever you are telling that, in a way, you are questioning their personality to some extent. I'm not saying it is totally like that, but you're questioning their personality to some extent, because every person will have their own pressure with which they write, own slant with which they write. Margins also will be very clearly aligned, and the font size. I have called them as traits in my first slide. So these 4 parameters are the primary parameters which we see in any handwriting analysis. So I would just like to quickly brief you through these 4 traits, and just in 1 or 2 minutes tell you about each of them. First is pressure. You would have seen that whenever a person writes, some handwriting leave an imprint, whereas some of the handwritings are such that you don't even understand. When you turn the page on the backside, you won't even understand that there is something written. They are that lightly written, light pressured. Whereas some others are so highly pressured that you clearly see an imprint on the backside of that page. So what does it mean? So then I have, for example, Ganesh, the next slide, please.
Yeah.
The next. Then we'll come back to this areas.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have just, for example, taken one or two cases here as to what it means. For example, you would see the first is heavy pressure here. So by heavy pressure, we mean, as I said, like leaving an imprint on the page at the backside of that page. So if you see that a person is writing with a heavy pressure, it is very likely that the person is extremely intense in his feelings. He is generally a quick person, a person who reacts quickly to something. He's a person who jumps to conclusions without giving a big thought about it. He's a person who's definitely a very good leader, a very good people's person. So definitely he can be very often an extrovert, can be someone who is very, very keen on talking to people, who loves to be amongst people and drives energy from meeting people. But at the same time, he can be loudmouth if the heavy pressure is very heavy. And so such people, unfortunately, cannot be trusted a lot. But definitely, if you want a group of people to be motivated, to be led by an able person, then this person can be a good choice with a heavy pressure. I would like to, as I start talking about these examples and their meanings, I would like to tell you that whenever I say that a particular person would be like this, would be like that, it is only an estimation based on just one parameter. However, you cannot judge something based on just one parameter, because there are many other aspects which should be taken, all of them should be taken together, and then only we can say that a particular person and his traits are in this order. So just by looking at someone's pressure or just by looking at someone's margin or slant, you cannot really predict. It is just like any other analysis. This analysis should not be viewed in isolation. It should be viewed along with various other features. So whenever I analyze an handwriting, I generally ask people to write down something on a page, and it should be at least 3/4 of a page, where the page is unruled. The thoughts that you write should be from your own mind, and you should not copy it from somewhere. So if you follow these guidelines, then the handwriting analysis can be very effective, because then you exactly get what is there in the heart of a person. So as I said, whenever I speak about this, I'm giving you generalized idea or generalized expressions of what is meant by a particular trait, but it's absolutely not essential that that every person having a heavy pressure would be a loudmouth, or every person having a heavy pressure would be a good leader. You will have to see all other aspects of that handwriting as well. Similarly, a person who's very lightly pressured in his handwriting, we say that he moves easily from place to place, and they say that, and you don't wear yourself out emotionally. So exactly opposite of what I spoke about heavy pressure handwriting. Light pressure handwriting also at times can mean some physical disability or lack of strength, physical and mental strength in a person. So you would see that as people age, their pressure starts to reduce. So you'll see your grandfather, grandmother writing with very light pressure because of their illness or disability to an extent in which troubles them at times. Ganesh, the next slide, please. Yeah, this is second example. I've just taken two of how handwriting will be judged or seen. So you would have seen the font size. This is about the font size. So you would have seen that some people write really big handwriting, whereas some others write very neat and small handwriting. In some cases, the handwriting looks like a printed paragraph. In some cases, it looks extremely shabby, as if someone is dancing there. So it can be that good or that bad. But as I said, it does not really mean that the person is good or bad, because handwriting only means that it is the trait that a person carries. So if you see that the letters are large enough in some cases, then I've written here that you want to feel understood and noticed, you are people oriented. So again, now you can just relate these two traits, which I said. A person with a heavy pressure and large letters is definitely to be, you can conclude that he is a people's person, but don't base it just on one aspect. Again, when I say definitely, it only means about 70%, 60% probability. As I said, the other aspects are also relevant. if you would have observed, or you might have seen, that we tend to write a few names. For example, if I write my son's name, very often I would write in capital letters. The entire name, Rudra, I would write in capital letters. The reason is because I have that much importance for him in my life. I want him to always notice me. I want him to always love me because he is my son. And that's why I write his name always in large, I mean the capital letters, not just large, but I always ensure that they are in capital letters. People write their spouse's name in capital letters, and that's also the same reason. When you write your spouse's name in large letters, it can not necessarily sometimes mean that you have more need from the spouse to be understood. So these are some subtle areas, but it also can mean that you love the spouse, you love your husband or wife so much that you always tend to write the name in the capital letters. As against this, if the lettering is small, so if someone writes in very small handwriting, the person is said to have a very strong focus, a very strong concentration, and that person is generally an introvert. He doesn't like to talk to people much. He doesn't like to get involved in group much, and he is generally a person who would be a better analyst than a better leader, or a better business, a researcher, better researcher than being someone on the front desk, or someone on the customer side. So these are a few traits which can help us understand about personalities. Danesh, can we go back to that first slide of traits? Thank you. So I spoke about pressure. I spoke about the font size, which is the last trait. Then your slants also can tell you a lot about how your handwriting is, and even the margins. So I would like to talk a little about margins. I had a friend of mine had come to me with her son's handwriting. The son was about 7-8 years. Again, you might ask me whether it is the right age to analyze, and the answer is no. But then, because they are friends, right? So they would just come and say, tell me something about my son. And generally I saw him writing, and I saw his margins going away. So when he started the first letter, he started from the margin, just touching the margin. And then as he started writing the next line, he started coming to the right hand side of the page. So I generally asked her whether she has asked her son to sleep at night with the grandparents because now she has a small baby. And she immediately said, oh yes, and that's really troubling him a lot. So then I said, probably this margin is going away because he is feeling that he's getting away from his parents. He's feeling that he's getting away from his family, and that's what troubles him. So then she tried to change that. She tried to make him come to her and sleep with her. And as the son started sleeping with his mother, immediately things changed. And the next time, after 3 months, when we took handwriting again from him, he had written with the clear margin, a straight margin, and that was probably a success, even at that small age of that child. So these are a few topics. As even slant, some people write it slanting towards left, some people write it slanting towards right. It only means whether you think more from brain or more from your heart. So slants tell us about that. Danesh, the next slide, please. Yeah. So now I would, I know that time, we are running out of time. We have only 7 minutes. So is it okay if we rejoin the...
Yeah, Kshitija, after 7 minutes, we'll rejoin the session. Not to worry.
Not to
just a reminder to all that we will be rejoining the session.
Great. Being a teacher, I'm unfortunately used to talking for at least 1 hour 30 minutes once I begin. So probably that is something that's happening here also. So yeah, but if you want me to finish in 7 minutes, I can do that also. So
no. We have one more slot also.
Okay, great. Thanks. So I would like to talk a little in detail about this areas where handwriting analysis can be useful. So the first area is parenting, and very close to hearts of all of us. That whenever, so in our batch discussion, my husband's batch, when we had this session, we had a lot of discussion and a wonderful discussion on parenting specifically, because everyone definitely is worried about that aspect as to whether I'm developing my child and become a good human being, whether I'm helping my child in becoming a good professional, slowly, whether I'm helping my child to become a good human being. And in that sense,
mental doctor.
hello,
Ah.
can we all be
Others,
on mute, please? That will help me.
others, please mute. Devendra Kunte, please mute.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we all, parenting is again one subject which is close to hearts of all of us. When I talk about parenting and how handwriting can help there, I have done many cases with respect to that. And I have seen very often that a child's handwriting is a reflection of the relationship of his parents with each other. So very often I have had to go back to the handwriting of parents, see the issues amongst them, and if there are some issues between the husband and wife, if they get sorted, then the child can be groomed properly as far as handwriting analysis is concerned. So very often it happens because the children are at the age of say up to say 16 or 17 years of age are extremely vulnerable, are extremely they work like a sponge, like the way a sponge takes anything that is put on it. So if you spill water, or if you pour milk on it, the sponge will carry all of it, right? Similarly, our children are like sponge. So if we put the right things in, they will absorb the right things, and that's why parenting is very crucial, is something we all know about. Then how handwriting analysis can help in parenting? As I said, it is very essential that we check the handwriting of the child as well as his parents to understand the areas of development. Very often I have observed 2-3 things which I would like to specify. Unfortunately or fortunately, intentionally or unintentionally, we all try to sort of emphasize or sort of get some things that we could not do in our childhood, or which we wanted to do always and we could not do. For example, I like to draw, I like to paint, but I could never do that because I'm not good at painting. Then now today, if I insisted on my child that he must be a good painter, he must do good drawing, then it is wrong. But unfortunately, somewhere unintentionally, we all try to be what we are not, and we want our children to be like that. So that is something which I will definitely insist here, that please make sure that and let's understand, all of us, that our children are individuals, they are human beings which are different from us. Although they are a part of us, although they are, we gave them birth, but they arrive in this world as a totally different human being, a totally different soul. So they are not supposed to have aspects which we both have. So our aspiration should not be a burden to them. It should just boost them if possible. Second thing I would like to insist, based on my experience in handwriting analysis, is there are 2 important life skills that I always insist that every parent should keep in front of them as a goal or as a focus, because I've seen many handwritings and probably these are conclusions based on that. One, always make sure that you give an assurance to your kids that whatever wrong or right happens to them in their life, entire life, and when I say life, it only doesn't mean up to 16 years, 18 years, or 21 years, entire life. Even today, I have that confidence that I can always get back to my parents, and I'm sure you all also would have that. So giving that confidence to your kids that whatever right or wrong happens in your life, just come back and talk to us about it. We might scold at times, you must tell that also. But finally, it is essential that you come back to us, and giving that faith to our kids is our task primarily. Making sure that our kids have faith in us, our kids know that we are solution to all their problems, is extremely important in parenting. The second aspect which I feel is important in parenting is giving a life skill called empathy to all our kids. I would like to talk to all of you about this empathy, but on the other side of this link, because we have a less than a minute left on this session. So let's join back with the same link, and I will talk to you on the other side of this link. Thank you.